Slogans like Think Green, Act Sustainable, Grow Responsibly, Live Harmoniously, Sustainable Choices Make Better World. Your actions today shape the Earth's tomorrow. All of us have heard this sometime or the other. But what exactly is sustainability? Is it just to do with energy? This and more in the latest episode of Energonomics. The most concise definition of sustainability I have read is that sustainability is the ability to maintain or support economic, environmental, or social processes over time without depleting natural resources. However, it has become a most abused word now. How does just a handful of powerful nations or a few people become decision makers of the path to sustainability? To find answers to these questions, I had a detailed conversation with Miniya Chatterji, CEO of Sustain Labs Paris. I asked Miniya to define sustainability. Is it only about clean environment?
Thank you, Richa, for that question, and nice to see you again. Sustainability has always been about being responsible for today, being responsible for tomorrow. Just as us as individuals, we could go about our lives doing things in a way which take the shortcut, which might, not be ethical. But at the same time, we could also lead our lives, individual lives, in ways which are thinking about the long term and ways that are ethical and making sure that we are not upsetting people around us and not upsetting and damaging the environment around us. So it's really that sustainability at the level of organizations, it continues to be having the same meaning. I wouldn't call it really a definition, but the meaning of sustainability is that how does an organization add value to the economy? I think organizations, they produce products and services, they offer, they're adding value to the economy and to people, but doing so in a way which is kind to people around, which is ethical, which is not damaging the environment or anybody else's property, and not just for now, but then also for the long term.
Is it also an issue at the HR level? And this is what she had to say.
The most important source of information in any organization about how to do things in a way that is responsible, the source of information is in the team itself, within the people. It is not the boardroom. It is not just the CEO. There's a lot of information in the people on the factory floor, people in various departments who will be able to inform the approach for the company to be doing things the right way. That can be given a fancy name of strategy or sustainability agenda, materiality, and all of that. It can be given fancy names, but essentially it is people which need to be consulted, people within the organization, as well as key stakeholders as well. So it goes beyond HR, but then also key stakeholders, who are your main clients, some old clients, some communities which live around the factories of an organization, certain government entities, and so on. So that informs the plan or the approach to sustainability of any organization. Now, that step of consulting the people, now it does two things. One is, of course, it gives you a very grounded understanding of what the organization should be doing to do things right. But the second thing is also it helps in the implementation. Because then when you roll out some of those things which came out of these kind of discussions, the people who you consulted are also your soldiers, right? They are also going to be the ones who are going to be rolling those out. So they get a sense of that, they were consulted. They say, hey, that was my idea. That is something that I said. And once people, anybody, any human, it's human psychology, when they feel that it was their idea, they feel a sense of ownership. And when you have a sense of ownership, then you do things right. And this I've been practicing and I've rolled these out in so many organizations that I can tell you that with a little bit of, changes here and there, it always works. So people are very important, Richa, as you said, in crafting what sustainability should look like in the organization, but also in rolling out. And I think it's very important that sustainability today is being talked about, mostly for climate. But it is important to remember that, the first time when the word sustainability was coined, that was in the 18th century to 1798 by a demographer called Thomas Malthus. And at that time, like he had spoken about sustainability, and in fact, he even wrote a book and about and focusing on food. So his meaning, his whole hypothesis of the book was that the population is increasing in geometric order, but the food production is only in arithmetic order. So the food resource will not be able to keep up with the population increase. And for many, decades, it was all about food. When, of course, we all know that the food revolution happened, and there was food processing, and that problem went away. But after that, it was about minerals and natural resources. We've forgotten the days, when we used to talk about natural resources and mining and minerals. And then it was about air, water. And then it's only in the 1960s that when the Club of Rome sponsored a research to MIT. There was duo Donald and Daniela Meadows, two researchers who picked up this work on what is sustainability, which until then was just doing the rounds in academic corridors amongst economists mostly. And that's when the results of that study by Donald and Daniela Meadows in MIT brought out the fact that if industrialization, the world wars had passed and industrialization had occurred, so the impact of that is on our climate. And that's when the UN took it up and COP meetings started, and it became all about climate. And somewhere we've forgotten a lot of the other aspects also of doing things right? So one of them, a big one is people. And I think, Richa, more so in economies like India, where we have a lot of social issues as well. We have hunger, we have water, drinking water to solve as well. So there's a lot of other competing, equally important problems in many parts of the world which are related to people, and including human rights in organizations as well. Human rights is an issue within the company as well as within communities. And these are equally important things, but sometimes overshadowed by the conversation and discourse only on climate.
Is there any algorithm which can tell us how much a corporate or entity claiming to spend on sustainability is true?
Well, I wish there was an algorithm to say that, but I think it has to be our own compass, our own inner compass, right, to say that what is right and what is not. In the name of sustainability, there is a lot of activities, and I remember, it's still quite common that people call it as your sustainability initiatives, and I've never been able to understand, what are these activities and initiatives, and because essentially whatever the organization makes and produces, and the way it produces, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, that needs to be done in a way that is right. So organizations don't have to be, being on a, showing that they're doing a lot by doing a lot of initiatives and doing a lot of activities. You just have to make sure scientifically with the right data, or whatever you're producing. I mean, there are tools there, Richa, you're talking about algorithms. So there are tools, life cycle assessments. And I'm trying to work out a way where life cycle assessments can be affordable and more available. If anybody listening here wants to partner there, it's an open call for partnership. So there are scientific ways called life cycle assessments. Do those and figure out that whatever you're producing, you're making or offering is environmentally okay, then it's not harming the environment. Look at whether the people around communities, your people, they're happy and they're doing things right. That is the core.
For sustainability to gain acceptance took a while. But now, with Trump's narrative, things seem to be changing. Has financing of the projects also become tougher now?
So calling a spade, the sector and progress, I would, has been hit. Years of mainstreaming, doing things right, has now is now open to questioning. So the flip side of that are many, So now there are people who are doing very good work, large organizations, but also innovators, startups who have put in their money and their time and their lives to creating new solutions. They've been impacted. They've been program closures in the US, and which have had a trickle down effect in other parts of the world and in specific sectors as well. And so that has been impacted. I feel like I've been riding a wave, like I started when it was low, the low tide. And then after that, the wave just went up to a point where I was almost that, okay, how do I just stay out of all the noise? And then now I feel like the world is riding the wave down now. So it has been impacted.
Should sustainability become part of a curriculum to educate at the early stages?
Richa, you touched a point which I hold great passion for, education. And see, a lot of what is not happening today, the momentum, the slow momentum, the policymakers making certain decisions in this year, which has shaken up years of progress. Three, organizations, especially industry, not doing things right. All of these boils down to people not wanting to do things right because they haven't been educated in that way. B, they don't know how to do things right as well. And that's why they go wrong, either in policies or in industry. So both awareness as well as skills are very important. And so now we're dealing with adults who are in positions of power and decision making. So we have to look at executive education, and I'm doing my bit as well and all of that. But then we have to make sure that that is what they are learning right from the start. So education in its true sense, that education not in terms of literacy, but education in terms of shaping how you and me think. So kindness, ultimately it all boils down to kindness, right? Like just don't harm the animals and insects and don't harm that tree. And, for the sake of landscaping, don't chop off the leaves and, make it into your version of pretty, or don't cut them out. And, people, just be nice to them. Just because you want to make a factory, you don't go bothering them. So ultimately it is that, right? Like it's kindness and empathy. And that has to be embedded right from early years. The most formative years are when a child is 3 and 4. I homeschooled my child till child was 5 because those are the most formative years. And that is when children need to be taught about these things right up till the end of school. And then the what. The what is a real problem these days, Richa, because the World Economic Forum's Global Risk Report from last year, it put misinformation as the number one risk to the world. And in this whole sector of environment and climate and, the social aspects, the amount of misinformation is massive. So there are all kinds of numbers floating around, which then leads to mistrust and all of that. So the information needs to be right. The poor kids, teachers, even if they have to teach, what will they teach? They will be teaching wrong things. YouTube is full of all kinds of wrong information, about plastics or about a lot of other things. So there needs to be a systematic overhaul of the curriculum.
My detailed conversation with Miniya has been given in the link below. Clearly, sustainability is not one thing or two things. It is more than that. It is about the society, it is about you, it is about how we develop it. I leave you with these thoughts till we meet again.